everybody. It's Friday, and you've made it. Let's do this. All right. So I had not intended to run that all the way to the end. So a little bit of housekeeping, guys. Good morning. Good morning. So as of right now, I'm seeing viewers on X, on YouTube, on Rumble, but I'm not seeing chats from any of those yet. And I understand that we still have So I have got X and Rumble pulled up in separate places so that I can see those chats as well, because I know I missed a lot of chats from Rumble yesterday. Guys, the Rumble Partner Program is going strong, and I hate to badmouth Rumble at all, but we're running into some issues. Hey, Aaron Olson, great. I just got you. You came up in the popped out chat from Rumble and in the Rumble Studio live chat, so that's good. That's a step in the right direction. We've had some technical issues with that. I sent a message to Rumble asking about what's going on with that. And there's the Rumble raid feature. I think that I have to do that in the Rumble pop-out chat, so I'm going to try that today instead of from the Rumble Studio chat and see if that works. So Patrick says YouTube has been acting weird today. It's taking a long time to buffer. Well, Patrick, Rumble's open. Come on in. The water's fine. Sergeant Major, I see you there. And yes, the plan this morning is, the kid, Eleanor is awake, which means everybody else will be shortly. And then they've got their schoolwork to get done to get ready for spring break. And then I'll be giving you a call and we'll figure out timing with Ford and everything. Sergeant Major says, Rumble got my money and went to shit. It's okay, old man. It is a work in progress, and they paid me a reasonable fee. So I'm going to keep shilling for them. I've made more in 1 month on Rumble than 10 years on YouTube, so for what it's worth. Now, let's get into some gun stories. Before we get to DGUs, I want to cover this one. I've got this one from thetruthaboutguns.com. Sergeant Major says the pool is 72 degrees. I'm looking forward to that. The ATF is accused of spying on gun owners. The ongoing controversy over the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives using facial recognition software to identify gun owners has raised the ire of the head of the U.S. House of Representatives, House Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Federal Government Surveillance. So there's more than a bit going on there. There have been some changes in policy and law of late. Now, it has always been the case that all your devices, like your iPhones, your Android, whatever phone you have that has a voice activated assistant where you say a key phrase, right? Hey or okay, and activate a device. Something I want you guys to understand. In order for that to work, that means that the device has to be listening all the time. With the advent of AI, they're collecting that data and retaining it specifically so that they can do the large language model AI development. The way I know I'm already boring myself with this, but it's important. The way large language models work, they're related to neuronet deep learning computer architecture, which essentially is a computer learning schema that relies on the computer trying and failing repeatedly in order to identify what is correct by eliminating what is not correct. So you can liken this to the way that the human mind acquires information, right? Think about, you got a kid that, a young kid that doesn't know about cats and dogs yet, and you want to explain to the child what a dog is. You cannot simply say, well, it's a furry animal with 4 legs, a tail, and a long face, right? Because, well, that describes a dog, but it also describes a wolf, which is a dog, which is also a dog. It also describes a bear, which is also a dog, but not quite a dog, foxes, etc., and cats and mice and, all your 4-legged mammals. So a large part of how you teach a child to understand what is a dog is you start by saying this, and you show them is a dog, right? And there's thousands of breeds of dogs, right? And a Shih Tzu is a dog, and a Great Pyrenees is a dog. But they, within the confines of this hermeneutic distinction, it would be very difficult for an intelligent person who didn't understand the complex piece of categorization, how it is that a Shih Tzu and a Great Pyrenees are related. How is a Doberman Pinscher and a Chihuahua the same kind of a creature? So a big part of the early part of that intelligence acquisition is saying, okay, all of these kinds of things are dogs. All of these kinds of things are cats. What a dog is includes the category not cat, right? And in so doing, you teach the child to extrapolate some intangible facet, some unarticulable attribute of the dog, which does not belong to the cat, but is not a thing that is easily articulated in human speech. So large language models need an extraordinary amount of data, largely extracted from reviewing recordings of human speech, in order to do that process for every word that the large language model is going to learn and use. So long before there was ever even any actual vocal controversy over the matter, all of these devices that respond to you when you speak to them have been listening to you. This is a part of the same strategic schema that created the controversial system by which we now know from the leaks of Snowden and others that the U.S. government, and let's be clear, every other government on the planet, the thing that Snowden did wrong is he admitted to doing the thing that everybody was doing without calling out everybody else. that's a more complicated topic. I won't go down in detail for the purpose of this conversation, but the total collection of all raw metadata, right? So the government is spying on you constantly, but that is different than the government is spying on you personally constantly, because basically there's so much data being collected that unless you stick your head up out of the pond, you're not going to get whacked down, right? Now, that has its very own complex and dangerous chilling effects that you should be concerned about. Absolutely. And so this controversy here about the ATF spying, I want you to understand that this is one of those places where by simply being an American, right? Think back to Lois Lerner saying, oh, they use the word patriot or conservative or Christian or faith or whatever in the name or in the documentation for their 501c3. There's a mole I can whack it down, right? So the ATF, which we will always maintain on this show, should not exist, right? The existence of the ATF is an abomination. It is an affront to the Constitution, and every agent that works for the ATF is a criminal who belongs in prison. It is not possible to be an employee of the ATF without being constantly in the act of committing a violation of Section 242, suppressive civil liberties under color of law, and 243, conspiracy to suppress civil liberties under color of law, right? So every single one of them belongs in prison or at the end of a rope, because disarming people does in fact endanger their lives, and the law is very clear. If the suppression of civil liberties endangers the life, liberty, property, or puts somebody at risk of grievous bodily harm, then the penalty for violations of Section 242, suppressive civil liberties under color of law, is up to and including the death penalty. So, with that in mind, all of you out there who are watching on your smartphones, be reminded that when Orwell said that Big Brother would be watching you, he presupposed that a violent, fascistic, overbearing, corrupt government would come in and force the panopticon upon you. They would force you into a constant surveillance state where you were simultaneously being watched and observed by the government, by the overseers, by the Big Brother, while simultaneously being constantly fed state propaganda. We now know that was less indirect than we originally assumed, based on the funding from USAID directly funding those propaganda organizations. But the thing that Orwell missed is it wasn't forced on us. We bought it voluntarily. We lined up and stood around the corner waiting in line to purchase our little black mirrors that stare into us. That is the void that stares back into you. And so the ATF is abusing every bit of that. U.S. Rep. Andy Biggs from Arizona, Republican, sent a letter to the ATF Acting Director Kash Patel on March 27, demanding information about the agency's use of facial recognition software and artificial intelligence, AI, to identify gun owners. Now, I got to say, I am actually quite happy with Kash Patel being the interim chief of the ATF. We've talked about this a little bit before, and to me, it does smell like the plan was basically to bring in Kash at the top of the FBI, which he is. Excuse me. And then the Donnie Two Scoops basically just handed the ATF to Kash to say, hey, brother, why don't you take this apart for me? We don't need it anymore. Would you dispose of that? Here's a stack of Amazon boxes. Can you break those down so we can take them to the dump to be recycled? Thanks. So I am actually hopeful that putting Kash Patel in charge of the ATF in this way, like if Kash had just been appointed as director of the ATF, I would have suspicions. But that Trump chose not to appoint a new director of the ATF and instead hand it to one of his other cabinet level appointees. I think that smells very good for Constitution and liberty in this country. So, as chairman of Judiciary GOP Subcommittee on Crime and Federal Government Surveillance, I'm asking Kash Patel for documents on ATF's potential abuse of facial recognition technology to surveil law-abiding gun owners. Rep. Biggs posted on X. I will always defend Americans' right to privacy. So let's be clear. When he's talking about facial recognition technology, right? You might start thinking of things like the TV show Person of Interest, correlating and categorizing and comparing lots of video feeds from closed circuit televisions and security cameras all over the place. Well, the murderer, after he left the jewelry store that he was robbing, well, he passed by this ATM and this red light traffic camera, and we were able to follow him down the street. Y'all, these do facial recognition to unlock your phone, right? Your Apple computers, your Alexa, Amazon devices, your video conferencing devices. If it's able to sort photographs, it's doing facial recognition data. That data is collected and collated and stored somewhere, and the government has access to it. And this isn't even some shady, one of those spooky glowworm 3 and 4 letter agencies can hack in the back door and get access to. No. They've signed agreements with the government to hand it over. There is no privacy. Right? If you want your privacy, you move to the middle of nowhere where you can't see any neighbors. You put your electronic devices in a tinfoil box, a Faraday cage, and you go run and dance naked in the woods. That's your option. You have to take off your connected, your smartwatch, your Bluetooth hearing aids, your video sunglasses, whatever you've got on, and go dancing in the woods. That's your choice. Hey, real quick, Megan says, Emerson says, hey, Mr. Chris and Uncle Patrick and everyone else on Mr. Chris's show. Good morning, little buddy. We're glad to see you. Olson asks, do you know about the unplugged phone, Chris? I don't. Olson, do you want to call in and talk about that? Why don't you send me an email to the show at Brushfire Mind, and I'll give if you send me a direct message on X, I'll give you a phone number you can call in if you want to, or I'll give you a link to pop in. And my wife says, for everyone's peace of mind, we don't put our devices in a tinfoil lined box. We don't. It's right here on the desk. For as much as I'm preaching about them, I mean, the fact is, and this is increasingly the case for a lot of you. I have a job. I mean, I'm self-employed, 1099 contractor, but I have a job where I have to use not just a cell phone, but I have to use a smartphone. I have to use a pretty up-to-date, pretty current smartphone for things like doing LiDAR scans for developing floor plans for real estate listings and virtual tours. And, I have to use one of those phones to operate the drone so that to shoot the aerial photography and videography. So, there's a lot, in a lot of ways, we're very much married to these devices, professionally in many cases. So, according to a recent government accountability office report, ATF has access to various facial recognition systems, including Clearview AI, Two Vigilant Solutions, and other systems owned by other federal, state, local, tribal, or territorial law enforcement agencies, and conducted at least 549 facial recognition searches on gun owners over a 2.5-year period. Now, that doesn't sound like a very large number, but let's be very clear on Aaron, why can't you message me on X? Hey, the email address is theshow@brushfiremind.com, Aaron. Just use that email address, and I'll go ahead and pull up that email box right now and set it over to the side where I can see it if it comes in. So while I'm doing that, like I was saying, 549 doesn't sound like a very large number, but when we're talking about the government actively invading your privacy and violating your Fourth Amendment rights, your right to be secure in your person's properties and papers, one is too many, right? I mean, full stop. One is too many. So yeah, Aaron, just send it as an email to the show at brushfiremind.com. I saw that you said you tried to send an email last night. Did you try to go through brushfiremind.com from the website using the messaging app? Because if it didn't go... No, there you go. No, I got an email from you. If that's your correct phone number, I tell you what, Aaron, I've got an email from you. I'm sending you a reply right now with a link. If you click on that, it will bring you in the studio. If you're on your phone, you'll have to download the Rumble app. And then if that's not going to work for you, my phone number, there's a phone number there as well. And you can call that number and I can bring you in as a caller. For the rest of you guys out there watching in TV land, I'm not publishing the call-in phone number right now because we lost our call-in number. So that number that you're getting there, Aaron, is actually my personal phone number. That's my direct number. But I can use that to bring you in if you can't use the link, and we could talk about that. So doobie-doo. Let me do this real quick, and then we'll do that real quick so we're ready in case Aaron does try to call in. And then we'll start getting some DGU. We'll finish up with this and start getting some DGUs. Got it. And for anybody else who's watching this morning that wants to call in, that actually has my personal number, feel free to give me a call. I'll try to get you on. So the letter goes on to say the subcommittee has concerns about the ATF's use of facial recognition in AI programs and the effects that its use has upon American citizens' Second Amendment rights and rights to privacy. So if they're using AI software, then we're finding ourselves in a position where the government that is not supposed to keep a register, a firearms ownership register, is able to essentially copy, go in and access the security cameras in gun stores, pawn shops, Walmarts, sporting goods stores, wherever it is that you buy a firearm. They can go in there and check that. Last year especially, we saw a raft of burdensome ATF regulations causing firearms dealers, FFLs, to just close, to just go out of business, and then the rules requiring them to hand over the records of everyone that had ever filled out an application to purchase a firearm. That sounds a hell of a lot like a backdoor registry to me. All right, Aaron joins us this morning. Good morning, Aaron. Waiting for you to enable your camera and microphone. You're going to have to do that manually yourself. I can't do it for you. But as soon as you get that done, we'll bring you in. And there you are. Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning.
To the Brushfire Mind.
Thank you.
So you talking to me on that Bluetooth headset you're wearing?
I guess so. I was trying to turn on with my. I can turn it off. If that makes anything
No,
better.
that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead. So what you got for me?
Oh, you're asking about the unplugged phone.
Yes.
It's a phone that Eric Prince developed that he was talking about on Sean Ryan's show, and it costs about the same as an iPhone, but he's talking about that the iPhone has some software tracking codes in there that everybody has unique to their cell phone, so everything can be tracked, so you can get ads basically. And he said that they don't have that stuff on that phone, and that also that whenever you turn off your phone, your iPhone or any other device, that it's not always turned off. And so with this phone that he developed, it's got an actual disconnect from the battery, so whenever you turn off the phone, it's turned off. And
Gotcha.
so it's on my
Can you
list
see
of
it on your
purchases to
screen?
get. I sure can.
I've got the webpage pulled up here.
Yeah, that's the one. And Sean Ryan gives them out like candy to people who are in the intelligence industry.
Excellent.
I want one.
Yeah, but for guys like me, like I said, I have to use mine professionally. There's
I do too. This is my primary work tool right here.
Yeah. What do you do? If you
I
don't
do.
mind.
Oh no, I do real estate valuations. So I drive all across Oklahoma and DFW and North Texas.
Okay.
And I've done stuff similar to you with the LiDAR and the doing the floor plan for the houses for an appraisal report, or I'm working on getting my appraisal license, so I do appraisal stuff too and do valuations on homes for loans.
Do you do anything with Cubicasa?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I use. It's great.
And it's freaking awesome, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's outrageous.
It is. I would say it is for newer homes. If you get to an older house and you want to get an actual square footage of the house, you have to do it the old-fashioned way because the wall thicknesses are different.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was talking. That's one thing that I was talking to going through this course to get qualified to go take the appraisal test. He was talking about that he tried to use Cubicasa on a house that was built in the 20s, and he said the wall thickness is different, and Cubicasa has a set wall thickness that sometimes can impact the GLA measuring of the house.
Gotcha. Well, so I do I do real estate marketing materials. So for us, okay, the wife says don't fall too far down the jargon hole. I'll try. I had to take my wife to the airport yesterday, and I let myself get down the rabbit hole talking about cameras. It was like, oh yeah, my X2000 does this, but my G85 does this, and I'm gonna have to replace the 80D because of this, and I could hear her rolling her eyes, sitting in the chair. I'm like, oh baby, I'm sorry, I'll stop. but yeah, the for what I do, Cubicasa, even if it's not perfectly accurate, like I'm not presenting a floor plan that somebody's going to make a building off of. I'm presenting a floor plan that an agent is going to use to show a client this is how big your house is. And frankly, with a very very rare exceptions, people don't understand what a 10 foot by 10 foot room is unless they're standing in it. They can't just visualize that. They don't have that spatial acumen. So if you're off by, an eighth of an inch through, or even a whole inch in wall thickness through the whole house, not a big deal there. But you're talking about appraisal level shit. That's another matter. So back to the unplugged phones. I love the idea of it, but for exactly that reason, I don't know if the unplugged phones can do the Cubicasa stuff, but I know that some of the other stuff like Zillow's virtual tour stuff, Matterport's virtual tour, and data science software, DJI maybe, but a lot of them they prefer an Apple iPhone for best outcomes, whether they offer the service or not.
Of course, yeah.
So, but yeah, if you're not tied to your phone for your job, oh, sorry, brother. If you're not tied to the phone for your job, then yeah, something like that, an unplugged phone that protects your privacy would probably be a great thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Pitt Danny is asking how much a month.
For what?
For the
For the phone?
unplugged phone.
It's
Danny, I'm not
$1,000,
here
I
to
believe.
sell these phones,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'll check. Let's see.
I think it's about $1,000. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
So the
999
phone
right there.
itself is $1,000.
The same price as an iPhone, pretty much.
I guess you get the phone and then you get service somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just selling the phone, Danny, and then you'd have to find service. So, yeah. Oh no, Sergeant Major says he's going fishing because he's bored with this conversation. All right, old man, let me get you a
Sorry.
DGU. Aaron, how do you feel about reading a DGU this morning?
Oh, sure.
Let me pull one up. Yeah. I do love a bit of audience participation. So how are we doing on the show so far?
You asking me?
Yeah, you.
Oh.
Yeah, you are my interlocutor.
Oh. No, it's good. I really enjoy it. I enjoy that you guys offer a different perspective on everything, which is what I enjoy the most.
Yeah, we're not like those squishy liberals like Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro.
Danny, I am not former military. I am. Everybody always tells me you look military. I've never been in the service, but I will say I probably got the same mindset. Every time I talk to veterans, I always get along great with them.
Oh yeah, if you didn't go down range and do some war fighting, you missed out a little bit. It's like sex with a winner. So here's your headline, Aaron.
Woman shoots intruder in self-defense during home invasion. Other resident arrested for shooting tires.
Oh shit. A man from Slidell, Louisiana, was shot in the leg during a home invasion after forcing his way into a residence and assaulting a woman. The woman defended herself with a firearm, and both the intruder and another man involved now face criminal charges. Hey, real quick, let me take just a little detour real quick. I see the TPS report live joins us. So Alex, good to see you this morning. And brother, you don't have to get into it in the chat, but I'd love to hear how the Rumble Creator Program's treating you, because it treated us pretty good. I'm pleasantly surprised with it, and I hope it's treating you and Danny well too. So, pick up right here, a domestic dispute in Slidell. That's a hell of a name, Slidell.
Domestic dispute Slidell escalated into violence when a man broke into a residence and was subsequently shot by one of the homeowners in an act of self-defense. According to the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, the incident occurred Monday at a home located in the 42,000 block of the U.S. Highway 190 East. Deputies say 52-year-old Tyrone Mercadal of Slidell forced entry by kicking in the front door, then proceeding to physically assault a woman living in their home. As the altercation unfolded, the woman and another homeowner identified as 53-year-old Wayne Mercadal attempted to de-escalate and remove Tyrone from the property.
Okay, so it sounds like Wayne and Tyrone are related. And
wow.
Looks like when efforts to remove Tyrone failed, the woman retrieved a firearm and fired 2 rounds in self-defense. One bullet struck Tyrone in the leg, forcing him to retreat before Tyrone could leave. Wayne Mercadal reportedly shot at the tires of Tyrone's vehicle in an attempt to prevent his escape. Oh, shit. Despite the gunfire, Tyrone managed to flee the scene. Deputies later located him and transported him to a nearby hospital for treatment. A warrant has been issued for his arrest on a charge of aggravated battery, and he will be taken into custody upon his release from medical care. Meanwhile, Wayne Mercadal was also arrested and charged with aggravated criminal damage to property for firing at the vehicle. Okay.
You can't do that outside your house.
I'm a big fan of saving the taxpayer money by putting rounds where they belong. Funny about freedom seeds is they may not be free, but they sure do save you a fortune. It's cheaper to change your oil than to replace your transmission.
True.
So, but guys, if the presentation, and even if it comes to it, the discharge of your lawfully carried firearm causes the assailant to flee, as much as there's a part of me that still wants you to put him down, that's just not the way.
No.
That's not the way we handle business. You gotta let him run away. Gotta let him run away. Now, if you can grab an ear before he gets away, then when you call the police, you can say, yeah, he's about 5'9", black hair, brown eyes, and he's missing this. This will fit the side of his head. So yeah, once they're leaving the scene, you have successfully DGU'd.
Mm-hmm.
You have successfully defended yourself with your lawful firearm. So, whew. Yeah. Once the attacker is fleeing, or then hey, Aaron, you said that to just me from inside where we are. You see where it says private?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, if you click that and then click on all, then you can chat to everybody from there.
I'll figure it out later. No, we're gonna find you. It immediately brought back that YouTube video. We're gonna find you.
And by the way, just to kind of touch back on what we were talking about to begin with in the kind of legal story part of the show, they've got the facial recognition on you now.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, ATF is partnering with other law enforcement agencies to use facial recognition software. They go find you. Right?
One way or the other, they'll find you. Yeah.
I mean, if 4chan autists can figure out where Shia LaBeouf is doing his MAGA hide and seek and go run up a MAGA flag on the communist protests that are hiding in the middle of nowhere based on the alignment of the stars, then sure enough, the FBI can match your bulbous nose to the security camera on the Ring doorbell that you broke through.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially if you've got an interested civilian party actively parlaying for that. Yeah. And Danny points out, and Teslas have cameras. And Sergeant Major says, I just caught a bass on top water. Hell yeah, old man.
I was watching Angry Conservative like 2 days ago, and he was talking about the Teslas having the cameras, and the guy whose Tesla got vandalized went and confronted the guy who vandalized his camera, and he goes, "We got your fingerprints."
I saw that.
That thing was hilarious. What do you mean they have fingerprints?
Yeah, I was just waiting for the guy to start crumbling and just get squozed down.
Technology seems to be moving faster than people understand. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, the Teslas are a great example. I mean, if you're vandalizing a Tesla, you're on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're they have sentry mode, basically. So it's not just that they have cameras. There's an active motion detector. And when any motion is detected within a certain distance of the car, it automatically turns on all the cameras and starts recording.
That's great.
Santa Steve, one of them got confronted and then cried, "I'll lose everything if you prosecute me." And that's something I want to see. I want to see some of these people get absolutely ruined. We talked about this with Fannie Willis and A.G. Bragg and all the guys that did the lawfare against Trump. A large reason for this stuff happening, and this is true of the lawfare against Donald Trump. This is true of the Russiagate conspiracy, the BLM riots, the current Tesla jihad, all those things. Those happen largely because there are no real consequences.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're a conservative protester, that's a good way to find yourself being hunted by by literally 30% of the FBI for 4 years. We just saw that, right? But if you're on the left, you essentially have a license to throw Molotov cocktails into police cars. We've seen that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you read the email I sent you yesterday, but I encountered my first Tesla protest yesterday.
I didn't get a chance to read it yet. Frankly, because I've been busy as a squirrel trying to shit a pineapple, I had to take my wife to the airport and deal with kids, and we're getting chickens this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Tell me about it. Oh, yeah. After I took my wife to the airport yesterday, I was out in the yard with the kids putting up, shoring up the chicken wire and getting ready. We're going to a thing tomorrow to get our first flock. And that's after today. I've got to go deal with Ford and get my new truck back. Buddy, I'm going to be burying pineapples in the yard before you know it. But yeah, tell me about the Tesla protest.
Oh, well, yeah, I've been going out to this Tesla dealership in OKC every week for something to inspect the landscaping and the exterior of the property. And there was a protest out there. I went, oh, great. Because you just never know how these people are going to act and behave. And I sent you a photo, too. You can see part of it. And because I just took the front photo. I did my best not to get any of the protesters in the pictures because every time people interacted with them, they just don't want to be in pictures. So I do my absolute best to keep people out of my pictures. And so I left their area of where they're at because they're in the front of the dealership protesting, and they were saying just the most random stuff like that guy in the white truck was driving around and saying the post office is not for sale. The post office is not for sale. Deport Elon Musk. Deport Elon Musk.
Oh my God.
Another lady walking with this group of 40 other people. Stop Donald Trump. Stop Donald Trump. I mean,
do you know
you guys support unions? The unions voted for him.
It's not for sale currently.
The post office is not for sale.
Do you know why the post office is not for sale?
Why? Tell me.
Because no investor is going to purchase a business that has literally been losing money for more than 50 years.
This is true.
FedEx makes money. USPS makes money. UPS makes money. USPS costs us money to exist, whether we use it or not.
Yep. So I saved their area for last, and this older guy said hello to me. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" Or, "Hey, I'm definitely not taking your picture," which I just want to make sure that they were, that I wasn't taking their picture. I wasn't there for them. And then he said, "You're not taking our picture?" I said, "No, I'm not taking your picture." And then the lady with the bullhorn and him kind of formed a small huddle because, as I said, I do look like military, so I can understand why they might be kind of concerned with somebody looking like that saying that to them. But I just finished what I was doing and then I left. But
that's the right answer.
But the OKC PD, because I talked to the manager of the Tesla, OKC PD was telling him hey, you got a protest coming, and they were protesting Tesla, and apparently Senator James Lankford was on the same block. His office is on the same block as that for that protest.
Well, it doesn't look like it was a very big crowd.
No, it was 40, 50 people max.
Okay.
Yeah, OKC, we wouldn't tolerate all that destruction at all.
Yeah, yeah. You're not in. It's not like you're in Portland or Seattle.
Oh, so dear God! I went to Seattle for the first time last summer.
I've been to Seattle. I spent a couple days in Seattle once, a little more than 10 years ago, and we went to the Cheesecake Factory. And it was my wife and my in-laws and our, at the time, 1-year-old. And we went to the Cheesecake Factory, and I knew everything I needed to know about the city of Seattle. We finished our dinner. We walked out the door, and I was still holding the door for my wife and my in-laws to walk out the door with me when more than one homeless person approach to ask if they could have our leftovers in doggy bags.
Oh wow.
Like, wow, yep. I know literally everything I ever need to know about this city, which is I'm never coming back here unless somebody's paying me a large sum of money to be here.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like my personal policy, I don't go inside of the perimeter of greater metro Atlanta. I don't go inside of the perimeter for less than $500 in a 24-hour period. Doesn't happen. Not an option.
I was there in Atlanta back in 2008 in high school. I saw one incident I've never seen before anywhere else, but I was walking from like the big old convention center in downtown Atlanta. I was there for
I'm
first
familiar
robotics.
with it. Myself and Steve Rodemeyer built that building.
Oh, really?
Well, we installed the electrical harness.
Okay.
Some
Cool.
350,000 feet of wire.
It was the Falcon Stadium. Yeah, it was the old Falcon Stadium. And we were walking to go get some Chinese food, and we walked down past this one just narrow street, and there was just lined with the darkest black people I'd ever seen at the time. They're just sitting on the curb, and I'd never seen anything like that before. Still haven't, and just it surprised me a bit.
When I was a much younger man and Atlanta was a much safer place, I used to do real estate title there. And there were these bums. There was this one bum. And y'all, I apologize for the language that you're about to hear. But it is this great big old black woman. And everybody who works in the courthouse at the time referred to her as Wheelbarrow Titty Lady. She was the Wheelbarrow Titty Lady. She was this just enormous obese woman with these gigantic pendulous breasts, and I mean gigantic pendulous breasts. Wow. She would sit on the curb and hang them over the ends of her knees. And she would sit there with her little red wagon full of trash, and she would scream at you as you walk by, right? So you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, and she will scream at you, "Hey, give me $1, motherfucker." No. Get back here, you son of a bitch. Give me $1. Are you going to chase me? No. Try a please. Like I told the story the other day of the guy that walked up, "Mister, do you have 37 cents? Because if I had 37 more cents, I could get a carton of orange juice and a pack of cheese." And right. Yeah. I'd give that guy $1. Sure.
Yeah. But definitely that kind of a guy, yeah.
Nope. No, ma'am. You're done. Yeah, when Mario and I were at DLI, we had a buddy there that was from St. Louis, I think, and we would swap bum stories. He had a whole cadre he had like a rogues gallery of bums that he interacted with working at bars and whatnot. One of whom was named the Cocaine Teddy Bear. Yeah. So, whew.
Well, yeah, in that regard, the homeless are getting more aggressive, and they're getting more bold with some of the stuff they do, and so you actually kind of have to carry a firearm now. But my dad's had to try to do that. He's an attorney. He works downtown OKC, and he never used to carry a gun, and now he does.
It's I highly recommend it. I used to teach armed self-defense classes, especially for young ladies, like in their early 20s, first kind of getting into the first kind of jobs, real estate photography, stuff like what you do, sales agents, insurance, healthcare, any business where your job is to go to places you've never been and meet people you've never met for the first time alone. Pharmaceutical sales girls, right? Anybody, especially jobs that like they go out of their way to hire attractive young ladies because you can put them in a low cut shirt and it doesn't matter if they know what they're talking about. They could sell anything. Hell yeah. Those ladies need to be armed. And it's not enough. It is not enough to just strap on a gun. You need to spend some time on the range and know how to shoot. You need to spend some time in a shoot house or a shooting course, right? Like I said, it's not enough to just strap on a gun. It's not even enough to just be a great shot. You can spend all the time in the world on the range and get to where you never, ever, ever, ever miss a perfect shot. Okay, so you're never going to miss a perfect shot when you're standing still, calm, collected, taking your time, good fundamentals, breathing, trigger squeeze, steady sight picture. You're never going to miss that shot. Okay, what happens when rounds are flying? Do you know how to dive into a car? Do you know how to take cover? Do you know when to draw the weapon tactically and strategically? Do you know how to take cover and then prepare the weapon? Do you know how to run that gun dry and then dive for cover while you switch? Do you know when it's appropriate to take shots that aren't intended to hit the target just to keep their heads down so that you can take? I mean, there's a whole just cabana of information that a person needs. I used to teach those classes, and it was combined mixed martial arts, hand-to-hand self-defense plus armed self-defense. The total package. This is how you be safe in the world. And, a big part of that lesson for those young ladies is I can teach you all the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu mixed martial arts in the world. I can make you a flawless, hand-to-hand combatant. But if the opponent outweighs you by 100 pounds, your skill doesn't matter.
All he has to do is sit on you, and you're done.
I've seen me do it. I've won mixed martial arts competitions in the military against trained military combatants where I won by just laying down on the guy and saying, I can do this until you tap.
That's also on my list of stuff to get into. Is the mixed martial arts stuff at some point.
It's good for you. Pit Danny says the ushers at my church are armed. That's
yeah. There's cops.
Buddy, if I was going to church every Sunday, I would want to see a man with an AR. I would want to see a pair of young men with ARs standing at the door as everybody walks in. I mean, in fact, it wouldn't break my heart to see a pair of acolytes, right? Red robes, white mantle, AR, either side of the altar. Beautiful. All right, brother. Well, Aaron, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to kick you out, and you can just close the app out, and I'll take over from here. I'm going to go ahead and do the safety brief and button it up. Unless you've got a safety brief you'd like to give.
I do not.
Okay. You know what? I need to reach out to some of my old drill sergeants and have them come in and do safety briefs on Fridays. That shit would be hilarious. But yeah, thanks for coming in this morning, Aaron, and feel free to hit me up anytime. We'll bring you back on. And we're going to need more and more contribution and input to do more and more shows. You've been watching the specials with Mario.
Oh yeah. I really enjoyed those.
Mario does a hell of a job putting together one of those presentations. His showmanship needs a little bit of work. His presentations are on point, but his showmanship needs a little bit of work.
Yeah, but that's easy to fix. But my email to you that I sent, I left a message from Mario in there.
Excellent. I'll make sure he gets it. All right, brother. Cool. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll see you on Monday. Oh no, we'll probably see you tomorrow night.
Definitely tomorrow. Yeah.
The French Revolution. Yes.
I'll be driving, so I'll probably be watching and commenting while I drive.
And what Aaron's talking about right there, that's a great reason to get to be watching us on Rumble instead of YouTube. Is you can pull us up on Rumble on your phone, and even if you're using the Maps app while you're driving, you can close the Rumble app and keep listening and just listen to the audio side of the show. You can't do that with YouTube unless you're paying for a subscription with YouTube. You don't have to pay for premium service on Rumble to do that. You should pay for premium service on Rumble because I like your money too, but you don't have to be a Rumble premium member to use that feature for free. So, all right, brother, you be safe, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you. All
right, guys, it is Friday. That means safety brief. I don't know about you guys, but my kids are going on spring break starting tomorrow. So they've got to get all their homework done today and be ready to go rock and roll. But that entails taking them off over to His Majesty's lovely farm and throwing them in the pool. So y'all be careful out there. It's spring break is upon us. It's a thing that happens for okay. Not everybody gets it at the exact same time. So over the next couple of weeks, the spring break stuff is going to be happening. Keep an eye out, guys. I tell you, don't drive drunk and don't fry bacon naked, but especially if you're in Florida on the beach or something, you got to watch out for other people driving drunk and doing all kinds of stuff naked. So be careful out there. And with that, keep calm, carry one, stay safe. We love you, and we will see you. Hopefully, you've got your Rumble Premium membership, and we'll see you tomorrow evening for our special on the French Revolution. All right, y'all be safe. Oh. Wait a minute. I've been trying to do that raid thing, and I got one more experiment I want to do to see if it works. So I almost forgot to do it, and I'm glad it occurred to me before I close it all the way. So y'all stick with me a minute, and let me see if I can find one. And this is the one that I've been trying to do anyway, so let's do this guy. All right, here we go. Okay. Okay, guys, it looks like I did it. Looks like I got it done. So, okay, excellent. So, y'all be safe out there, guys. Thanks for watching. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.